Hello, welcome back to Blender Sushi Live Noding. In this episode, I want to talk about macros in Blender, and I also want to talk about macro in SphereChalk add-on. With Blender, we know that some of the tools and some of the functions in Blender actually kind of triggered these operators, and there's a lot of operators in Blender, and it's all depending on whatever environment you are working. You probably will be working in the object mode most of the time. So we can take a look at the object operators, but you can see there are a lot more of other operators. But with other operators, if you want to trigger the macro, you might need to change the environment. You need to specify it on your script. So, but anyway, let's get started. So, as usual, we have the Blender default scene with cube and camera and lamp. I'm just gonna save it as macro demo. So when we think about macro is like a in terms of Photoshop or maybe other 3D software like Maya, you have like a series of steps that you want to record, and then you want to repeat the same steps over and over again. The easiest macro to try is these operators for modifier. Let's say for this guy right here, the cube, we want to add wireframe, and then we want to add a subdivision surface. Okay, that's like a two-step of operations you assign into this object. And if you look under this history, you can see you are just you just use the operators modifier add wireframe, and then you use subsurf. And with the wireframe, you probably want to change the thickness, maybe turn on relative thickness, and maybe adjust the thickness. And then you can see for each changes I made, it creates more over here. Maybe I can do a little bit more like remesh, but we want to put the remesh on the top. So that's a remesh, of course, and I will just choose the smooth. Okay, so we have three operations, but I didn't do it in order, so it's kind of a bit of out of order. So we'll kind of select all that. There, even when I change the order, there's like move up here, but it's okay for now. I just gonna select all of this and then Command C, copy all the operations, and I will switch to the text editor, create a new text, just name it like 3 modifier combo, and then just paste it here. Turn on this line numbering and the highlight for Python. Okay, so let's take a look at we can start with another new cube. What happens if we run the script? You might guess there's an error apparently. Python script failed. So your macro failed. We gotta look at why is it failing. Oh, I get too many things here. Okay, this is the error. It says BPY is not defined. So for every macro, you need to import the BPY. It's Blender Python module that needs to be loaded before you can use the operators. So let's turn on the properties and increase the font size. Okay, that's our operators. That's our step-by-step. We know that we want to add wireframe, subsurf. We want to change some of the value. We can keep that. And then we add remesh. But we want to actually put the remesh on the top. So we just put it on the top. We don't need this. Maybe we actually need this because we are modifying the modifier. So that's done. And then we can just maybe hide it like that, and then have the object and then run the script. So that works. How about we try it on a different object? Run the script. So that actually worked as well. And of course, you can have like a lot of, this is kind of like a shelf in Blender terminology, but in Blender, of course, the shelf itself is a text object. But you can have a lot of this, definitely. What else can I do here? Maybe solidify or skin, bevel, build. So not many of, there's actually a lot you can do here, but for now, let's don't worry about all this. Gonna delete everything. Let's say you have a cube and you have a sphere, and you want to run this script on these two objects, or maybe make another one. So 1, 2, 3, run the script. Oh, it only works on the active objects, so only the last object, so it doesn't work on every object. So you need to actually make a little bit of change if you want that to work, because the way the script works, it's only work on the last active object. So but sometimes if you really want to apply into many objects in Blender, you can always select how many objects you want, and then select this one the last, and then you use Control L and then make links of the modifier. So now the modifier is kind of linked. They're linked, but you can make changes on one, and they're not really like linked like in that kind of term. You can still make changes into this guy. See, it's all unique and separate. But if you ever want to make changes on 3 objects at the same time, you can always select all of them and then hold down Option or Alt and then click on this and then change the value. So you can do that as well. So make it like smooth shading, for example. But if you really want to apply on all these 3 objects at the same time, you can always use a little bit of Python. Like the simple one is like, if you use this bpy.context or just yeah, bpy context selected context selected object, control space. So I don't have selected objects, but if I actually have a bunch of objects, 1, 2, 3, run this, and it will return you all the selected objects. So using that ideas, we can use like for every object in BPY context selected objects, simply run all of this for every object. I think, yeah, I think that's quite correct. Let me run the script. Okay, that one seems to be disappeared. Let me try again. Oops. Let me save this first. File, save as. So maybe BPY context selected objects. That's a list of objects. Put it into variable, and then for every objects in objects, we're gonna simply put the object here. Okay, so that seems to be logically correct. So 1, 2, 3 objects, and then run the script. Oh, it says error, name obj_s is not defined. Okay, that's should supposed to be, oops, okay, run the script. It still says fail. Object has no attribute modifier. Add. Probably should have tested before I try to make this video, I guess. Could not be found. BPY object modifier add. Okay, print object. So I can print the objects fine, but yeah, that's actually it. I managed to make it works before. Maybe I have to look at the macro options. This is when I was actually experimenting with the Sverchok and macros. So let's get back to our thing. So don't worry about making it work for multiple objects at the same time. We just gonna try using this inside using Sverchok. Okay, so macro demo. I'm pretty sure it works the other day. I'll give you the one that's actually working. But anyhow, this is like your macro. This is a bunch of steps of operations, and then you want to assign it into an object. Whenever you select an object, you can run the script. You can even have this hidden like that, and you can select any of your macros, and then you just simply run the script. So that works, right? And then you also can have it inside node editor in Sverchok. I'm gonna show you how. So this is a Sverchok. I think there's a documentation on macros. Basically, you first find a path for your macros. So simply just copy this and then paste it into text editor. Run it, and it's gonna spit out, okay, this is the location of your Sverchok macros. So just copy that, and then you go to that folder. Yep, go to folder, paste it. So that's the location of my macros. And so under the user macros, there's macros.py, that's the one. And then let's open it using Sublime Text. All right, so there's a bunch of macros I already created, like a not so useful one like greeting and hello, put monkey. I think this is the old example that I showed before, but you can make your own. And then once you made it, you can simply call it from inside of the nodes. So control space, I think. Yeah, control space, and then this symbol, and you can say like, you can trigger like greetings, and by doing that you can see the result. Let me do that again. Control, maybe hello, not this one. Where's my Blender? Okay, this one. It says hello monkey and hello Suzanne. So I have too many things open. Maybe give this a color. Run the macro again. So hello Suzanne, hello Suzanne, hello Suzanne. Okay, that works. So with this guy, we can simply copy all of them, paste it into our macros, and save it as with a name. So test it, my macro self context, paste it, make sure there's indentations. So I save this, and then in Blender I use F8, kind of refreshing everything, and then control space. You should be able to see there's a my macro here. Just run that. If you run that, it will actually run the macros on the selected object. So control space, my macro. So that works. And you can add a little bit of informations. Run a series of operations to make modifiers. Save it. So F8, once again, it's refreshing everything. And have another object, icosphere, control space, my macro. Oops, okay, that's too long, but just run it. Okay, it works. So delete everything. Let's try something. In Spreadshot, we can have like a box, maybe like a image viewer. We can assign it. We can try rounded box. So we have an object there, and here in the vector we can make changes. Select these objects and then control space. Just run this guy. Okay, so it works, and we can still make changes. So that's the cool thing about procedural setup. You can also change it here, and perhaps change the size, or even like apply matrix apply, and then just run some kind of grid. So vector key, plug into this guy. So we're gonna have a bunch of these objects. But we want to perhaps apply properly. So this box and the matrix. So we have 36 objects, and we want to run the whole thing with the modifier still kind of working. Okay. So that's we probably need to remove disconnected pieces and increase the value. So yeah, that's basically the idea. You create, but the most basic part is really to note every single steps that you're doing on an object, and then you run like an operations, and then you check it out on the history, and just right click the one you need, and then copy it and then paste it into a text. Actually, like this text is enough. It doesn't have any button or anything. You need to select the text and then run the script, but that actually kind of fine as well. It will work. Just the extra steps in that making it into macros in Spreadshot, that's like an extra thing. You don't need to do that, of course. But if you start collecting all these macros, at some point, if Blender can just drag and drop a macros into a button, that will be ideal. But for now, really, sometimes I use sphere chalk, because with sphere chalk also there's also this save preset stuff. um, Save preset is like saving a bunch of nodes into these presets. Let me try anyway, like save preset, how to save. Okay, there should be a button here that save preset. Select all these nodes and then, okay, save presets. Save it as bunch of boxes. Okay, save it. We start a new file. Go to compositing, sphere chalk, new. Under presets, we have a bunch of boxes. So now we have a bunch of boxes, exactly. And we want to assign the macro. From previously, we just append our macros from this guy, text. Where was it? I think it's a macro demos, text, 3 modifier combo. Append the macros, and then you just open the text a little bit, text editor. You don't need to see the text. Just select it, select our objects and run the script. It should work. Oh, all right, this is the wrong one. Get rid of it. File, append the text from the first one. Okay, this is the correct one. Hide it, select our objects, run the script. It works. We need to just uncheck the remove disconnected pieces. So we need to add that line into our operators, basically. Set it to false and just increase the oct3 depth. So that works. And that's pretty powerful because you can keep adding things like solidify, or even like sometimes if you are installing a new add-on, you're gonna have like a new operators for an object. Let's say, let's delete all these and maybe run remesh. And then run triangulate. And you will find, if you go to Python console and then try to list all the operators, you're gonna see a bunch of them. There's even like sometimes you get a new one from an add-on, like in this case I have tissue add-on installed, so I have a dual mesh. So that's a new operators. It doesn't come with Blenders, but we can use it. So just assign it, assign a dual mesh, and you can see our objects become a little bit funky now. That's the dual mesh. That's actually something that comes with a tissue add-on. So actually, so now we can get rid of this. Back to the 3D view and just assign a wireframe. There you go, macros. I kind of made a mistake with like how to assign the macros into multiple objects. That I will fix later, but that's pretty much it. It's like the macros is a big subject, and have a read like all these object operators that you can assign into an object, like constraint, all of this. You don't always use it, but almost everything is have operations. Of course, when you learn programs like Python, BPY Python in Blender, you will find that you don't use operators that much anymore. You kind of operate in different ways. But if you're like a 3D artist, you want to just repeat a series of operations, you can use the macros and just simply use the operators to get you started. All right, so yeah, there you go. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.